Hi again, everybody. Welcome back to Ivy English. I'm Bruce.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today we have another article for you, and this one is entitled, The Chunnel Makes a Breakthrough.
中文标题是世界工程奇迹英法海底隧道。那个 Chunnel 标题里面那个字呢，就是指英法海底隧道啊。它这个从这个The English Channel 底下穿过去的。那 breakthrough 就是一个突破啊，重大的突破。
Okay, I'll read through the 3-paragraph article for you. And after that, of course, Angela and I will reread the English sentences and Wesley will explain them in Chinese. For over 25 years, the Channel Tunnel, sometimes referred to as the Chunnel, has provided a swift and efficient way for travelers to move between southern England and northern France. From May 6, 1994, travelers who were previously limited to traveling by plane or by boat could opt for an undersea journey that took less than 35 minutes. As the world's longest undersea tunnel, with 37.9 kilometers of the tunnel running under the English Channel, the Chunnel is deemed a modern-day feat of civil engineering, as well as human ingenuity and cooperation. The novel idea of building an undersea tunnel connecting Britain to France was put forward by engineer Albert Mathieu Favier to French military general Napoleon Bonaparte in 1802. However, it was not until the late 20th century that the technology necessary to complete the project was developed. Digging began in 1987, and over the next 3 years, nearly 13,000 workers dug 152 kilometers of tunnel at an average depth of 45 meters below the seabed of the English Channel. Perhaps the most notable event in the timeline of the project's history took place shortly after 11 a.m. on December 1st, 1990. On that remarkable day, workers from both sides drilled an opening about the size of a small car and were finally able to meet in the middle and shake hands with their counterparts for the first time. Both sides had been working tirelessly for years. They exchanged French and British flags and celebrated the event by toasting each other with champagne. It would be 4 years before the first trains began transporting passengers between the two countries. However, December 1st, 1990 will always be remembered as an important and momentous date on which two once warring nations would find common ground, kilometers beneath the sea.
Okay, for over 25 years, the Channel Tunnel, sometimes referred to as the Chunnel, because if you can make a rhyming word shorter, why not also make it uglier? So this channel has provided a swift and efficient way for travelers to move between southern England and northern France. It really is a miracle of efficiency. It just takes something that was incredibly irritating and turns it into a sweet, swift journey.
好，所以呢 for over 25 years 有超过25年的时间呢the Channel Tunnel 就是 Tunnel 是隧道the Channel Tunnel 就是指英法海底隧道它底下讲说 sometimes referred to 有的时候被称为 the Channel 那 has provided 它提供了 a swift 一个快捷的还有 efficient 有效率的 way 方式for travelers to move between 让这个旅行者能够在两者之间移动那两者呢一个是英国的南部另外一个是法国的北部。
From May 6, 1994, travelers who were previously limited to traveling by plane or by boat could opt for an undersea journey that took less than 35 minutes. So before the Chunnel, you could go from one part of Europe into the UK, of course. Yeah, there were airplanes, boats, but you couldn't drive. There were no trains or trucks or buses or cars until May 6, 1994. And then you could choose, you could opt for, you could choose whether you wanted to drive or take an undersea journey. That took less than 35 minutes. It would probably take you at least 35 minutes to get to an airport.
And then 2 hours to wait at the airport and get through security screenings.
And then the 15-minute flight over to France and then go through that again. So most people would take buses or cars from 1994 on.
好，所以呢，从1994年的5月6号开始 ，travelers who were previously 早先他们怎么样 ？They were limited to 他们被限制，他们只能够那这个 to be limited to 这个 to 是介系词，所以后面那个 travel 要加 ing 他们只能够，他们被限制，只能够 traveling by plane 只能够搭飞机，或者是 by boat 或者搭船那这样的一些之前只能搭飞机或搭船的这些 travelers 呢，那现在就可以 opt 就是选择那 opt for something 就选择什么东西那 opt to 的话后面就要加动词 you opt to do something 那这里他们是 opt for 他们可以选择一个 undersea journey 一个海底之旅 that took 这个海底之旅呢 took 它花费的时间是 less than 35 minutes 时间少于35分钟非常快捷
Now, as the world's longest undersea tunnel, meaning it's not the longest tunnel in the world, but it is definitely the longest one that goes under the ocean. And it has 37.9 kilometers of the tunnel running under the English Channel, which is, of course, the ocean that is between France and England. So this tunnel is deemed, if it is deemed, it means it's said to be a modern-day feat of civil engineering. A feat is an incredible achievement, and civil engineering is when you build massive structures for people to transport themselves on or to make... Anyway, civil engineering is the science of making really, really big things.
Huge engineering projects.
Engineering projects. And oh my gosh, did you know there is a YouTube... There are more than one YouTube series, but there is a bunch of YouTube series about the biggest bridge in the world and the hardest things, and it's fascinating. Do you know there's this gigantic bridge in, I believe, Italy that just floats on the sand? The foundations float on the sand like boats on water because there was no rock to attach it to. So they were like, yeah, we're just going to make it slide back and forth on the sand. And that is an acceptable engineering solution. I love civil engineering. Anyway, so it's a modern-day feat of civil engineering as well as human ingenuity and cooperation. Human ingenuity means our ability to figure things out. We figure the weirdest and best things out. Also cooperation. Human beings know how to cooperate. And when we do it really, really well. So yeah, the channel is an example of all of that.
好，所以这一句讲到说，作为这个世界上最长的海底隧道然后呢 width 就是附带状况，它有 37.9 公里的这个隧道呢是在英吉利海峡底下那 running是在这里你可以把它理解成为 extend 伸展或者 stretch 它这隧道有这么一段伸展有37公里是伸展在这个英吉利海峡底下那这个到目前为止这个句子呢从 as 一直到那个 the English channel 都是修饰词那真正的主要子句在后面而且主要子句的主词是 the channel 所以The Channel 有这些特性有 37.9 公里在英吉利海峡底下，然后呢它是世界最长的海底隧道。那这个 Channel is deemed 它被视为是一个 modern day feat 一个现代的 modern day feat 就是一个壮举或者重大的成就它什么的成就呢？首先它是个 civil engineering 是土木工程的一个现代的重大成就。As well as 它也是什么东西的重大成就呢？它是 human ingenuity 是人类的 human ingenuity 就是巧妙足智多谋或者独创性人类的独创性的重大成就，同时也是 human cooperation 也是人类合作的重大成就。
Now let's look at our second paragraph. The novel idea of building an undersea tunnel connecting Britain to France was put forward by engineer Albert Mathieu Favier to French military general Napoleon Bonaparte in 1802. So this idea has been considered for, by the time it was built, nearly 200 years. And at that time, it was a novel idea back in 1802. No one even thought that such a thing would be possible. But the French, well, his name is French, and he was...
advisor to the French.
There you go. And Mr.
Imagine how forward-thinking you'd have to be to think that you could, tunnel under the sea in 1802.
Yeah, the guy was a genius, but nobody was quite ready for it or able to do it.
I think they were ready for it. They just weren't able.
Napoleon would have loved such a thing. He was on a conquest of all of Europe. And
he was like, yes, now we can take England.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. 好，所以呢，这个地方讲到说 the novel idea，novel 在这里是形容词，新奇的啊 ，unusual 啊，以前没见过的啊，这样的一个 idea 是怎么样？是要建造一个 undersea 一个海底的 tunnel 隧道啊，连接英国跟法国这样的一个 novel idea 啊，它是怎么样 put forward 啊，就是 to propose for consideration， 就是提出的意思。最早是谁提出的呢？是一个 engineer， 一个工程师啊，这应该是法国的一位工程师啊。他提给谁呢？给法国的一个 military general， 一个军事的将领啊，其实就是拿破仑啊，1769到1821啊。那他是什么时候提出来呢？早在1802年啊，他就提出这个想法了，所以他非常的这个思考非常的先进啊。1802年就想到了，我们可以在海底挖一条隧道啊！那我们刚刚开玩笑说，这个拿破仑应该觉得很高兴，因为他觉得，那这样好啊，那我就可以骑马直接骑到英国去把它征服了。
Oh, anyways, it was not until the late 20th century that the technology necessary to complete the project was developed. Now we can do massive earth moving, and tunnel digging projects, and now we can do it.
好，所以当时就想出来了。那拿破仑应该也很动心，但是当时没有这个技术啊，所以呢，那我们看到底下这个是一个很常用的一个句型啊。It was not until 某一个时间 that something happened， 就是一直要到这个时间，这件事情才能够发生啊。所以在这里讲说 ，It was not until the late 20th century 啊，一直要到20世纪末啊。那这个时候呢 ，the technology necessary to complete the project 就是。The technology that was necessary to complete the project， 就是你要完成这样的一个工程所需要的科技啊，一直到20世纪晚期 was developed， 那个时候它才被发展出来。
Digging, we could also say here construction, began in 1987, and over the next 3 years, through 1990, nearly 13,000 workers dug 152 kilometers of tunnel at an average depth of 45 meters below the seabed of the English Channel. So first you have to get down to the bottom of the sea, and then it's another 45 meters below that where they were digging this 152 kilometer long tunnel.
好，所以 digging 就是指挖掘这件事情啊 ，began 开始是在1987年开始挖。然后呢 ，over the next 3 years， over 就是 throughout 啊，就 throughout 或者 during， 在接下来的3年当中呢，有将近13000名的 workers 工人啊 ，dug 就是挖掘，挖的多少呢？挖的这个152公里的这个 tunnel 啊，那深度是多少呢？它的深度啊是 at an average depth of， 它的平均深度是。45 meters 是45公尺啊 ，below the seabed 啊，是海床底下45公尺的深度啊。那这是在哪里？就在英吉利海峡里面底下挖。
So perhaps the most notable event in the timeline of the project's history, the most important bit, took place shortly after 11 a.m. on December 1st, 1990. And I remember them reporting this. It was like a really big deal.
Oh, I was too young then.
Yeah,
didn't know about it.
You were a baby.
好，所以呢，也许最 notable 就是最值得注意的哈，最显著的哈，那的一个 event， 一个这个事件啊，在这个 timeline of the project's history， 在 timeline 就是一个时程表啊，所以你说 in the timeline of the project's history， 就是这一个工程的历史大事记里面啊，里面最值得注意的一个 event 啊。took place 发生，什么时候发生呢？是 shortly after， 是这个时间以后没多久啊。是什么时间呢？1990年12月1日早上11点之后没多久，这个最值得注意的这个事情就发生了。
On that remarkable day, workers from both sides drilled an opening about the size of a small car and were finally able to meet in the middle and shake hands with their counterparts for the first time. So this really was a special day when both sides were digging towards each other. Fortunately, they had the right plans. Otherwise, they might have missed each other.
Well, that's actually a very big deal when you're doing tunnels. The fact that they were only 1 meter off when they finished this incredible project, that is incredibly accurate.
Yeah, 所以挖隧道的时候，这个是很重要的一种定位的技术哈，因为两边都挖，万一这个定位不好的话，它会彼此错过哈。它两边都一直挖，最后 but you end up with 2 tunnels.
Eventually.
I mean, no one's going to do that. At some point, they're going to figure out they passed and then connect them because you don't have the money for 2 tunnels.
Yeah, 我刚刚开玩笑，就如果错过的话，最后你本来要挖一条会变2条出来啊。不过 Angela 说不可能啊，经费不够啊，而且呢，大部分人你挖总会觉得不对啊，我们已经挖了这么久，怎么没碰到啊？
I threw cold water on your joke, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the word counterparts here refers to the English drillers and the French drillers. They met each other, so they were each other's counterparts.
好，所以所谓的 counterparts 就是相对应的人或者事或者物。好，所以你说这个英国的这个挖掘的工人，他们的 counterpart 就是法国那一边的挖掘工人，那叫做 counterpart。好，我们看看这个句子，他说 on that remarkable day， 好 remarkable 就是 worthy of notice 啊，也可以说是 notable 啊 remarkable 尤其是因为它是 unusual 或者 extraordinary 啊，那就是 remarkable 就是很值得纪念的这样的一天啊。在这一天呢 workers from both sides 两边的这个工人呢 drilled 他们钻孔 drilled 啊，钻出了一个 opening 钻出一个开口啊，那大约是怎么样 the size of a small car 啊，那个大概大小跟一辆小的汽车差不多的这么一个孔，钻出来这么一个洞。然后呢 they were finally able to meet 他们终于能够彼此碰面了啊 in the middle 在中间碰面了，因为碰到面表示工程已经进行了一半了啊。我想他们在挖的时候心里面一直都在等着那一天说挖通的时候可以见到对方的 counterpart 啊，所以他们终于可以在这个中间啊，在隧道的中段呢遇到彼此啊，而且呢可以 shake hands with 好，那注意 shake hands with 那 hands 有 s 啊，因为握手大概最少有2只手才能握手嘛啊，所以那个通常说 shake hands with， 所以他们就跟他们的 counterparts 握手啊，而且是 for the first time， 这是首度能够握手啊，在这个之前大家都拼命的挖。
So both sides had been working tirelessly for years. They had just been committed fully to the project.
Yeah, tirelessly 就是不会累的啊，也就是说他们是不知疲倦的，也就是他们很努力的啊，这个挖，所以他们啊，各位注意到这个地方还要注意这个 had been 啊，就是过去他们 they were finally able to meet， 这是过去式，但在他们见面之前，他们要很努力的工作，所以是过去的过去，要用过去完成，所以 both sides had been working tirelessly for years， 已经工作了好几年了。
They exchanged French and British flags. So the Brit gave his French counterpart the UK flag, and the Frenchman gave the Brit a French tricolor, the French flag. And they toasted each other with champagne. That's, by these days, a pretty universal event. Champagne refers to or is seen as a high-class event It's not what you have with your meal every night at dinner. It's a special event drink.
I assume the French brought the champagne because they would have better taste than the British.
After all, it's a French
that
word,
too
right?
loudly.
Yeah.
I just announced it on the radio, dude.
It's a French word, right? Champagne. Yeah.
Champagne.
So,
It's because it's from a region in France.
yeah, 地名, yeah.
No, it's actually a legal thing. You can make sparkling wine, and you cannot call it champagne unless it comes from a part of France that has been legally defined as champagne.
哦，好，所以严格来讲，香槟应该是法国香槟这个地方产的香槟酒才能叫香槟啊。
There's actually a line, and recently because climate change, it's been harder. There's places below the line that actually do better champagne, the champagne, than the Champagne region, and there is now like an argument about whether the line should be redrawn because of climate change.
哦
Climate change is everywhere.
，Yeah， 好，所以他们其实有规定一个地区啊，但最近因为气候变迁，那个地区的那个边界可能会有点改变了啊。好，我们看到这个地方讲说，他们 exchange， 他们交换了啊，这个法国跟英国的国旗啊，然后呢 celebrated the event， 庆祝这个大事哈。怎么样呢？他们 toasting each other， 他们彼此敬酒啊，用香槟来敬酒。
It would be 4 years before the first trains began transporting passengers between the two countries, because of course the tunnel is important, but you also have to make the tracks and lay the electricity lines and do all the stuff that supports trains actually going back and forth.
好，所以呢 it would be 就从他们这个彼此见面之后的未来，所以是过去的未来，要用 would 啊。那会有4年的时间 before the first trains 啊，在第一辆火车啊，这个开始 transporting 开始运送 passengers 乘客 between the two countries， 这两个国家之间火车开始彼此运送乘客啊，还要在4年的时间，他们才能开始第一辆火车开出来运送乘客。
However, December 1st, 1990 will always be remembered as an important and momentous date. Remember, we call that a remarkable day ahead of this or on top of this, on which two once warring nations, at the time of Napoleon and earlier than that, France and England frequently fought each other directly, and at the time when the United States had not yet been born, British and French explorers and so on, they waged war with each other even on different continents. But they found common ground by building the Chunnel kilometers beneath the sea. This is no easy thing to do, so it took a lot of cooperation and investment planning and goodwill for these two countries to build the Chunnel.
好，但是呢，这个1990年12月1日啊 will always be remembered as 永远都被当作这个来记住啊，为大家所谨记在心的啊，被当作什么来谨记在心呢？被当作一个 important， 一个很重要，然后呢 momentous 它是重大的啊 of great significance 啊，或者 of great importance 啊，一个很重大重要的一个 date， 一个日期啊 on which 就是指这个 date， 在这一天呢两个 once 就是 at one time in the past 啊，曾经的 once 两个交战的国家 warring nations， warring 就是表示处于战争状态的啊，两个处于战争状态的国家呢，他们 would 可以 find common ground 就是共同点啊，一个 foundation of common 或者 mutual understanding 啊，或者是这个 foundation of common interest 啊，找到了一个共同点啊。那在哪里找到一个共同点呢？在海底下这个好几公里的地方，他们找到了共同点，因为他们都需要这条隧道。
Okay, we have a couple questions for you here.
Number 1 is, why did it take a long time, almost 200 years, to turn the idea of building a tunnel linking Britain to France into reality?
好，为什么要花这么久的时间才能够 turn A into B， 就把 A 变成 B？ 那 A 就是怎么样 ？The idea of building a tunnel linking Britain to France， 就是在英法之间盖一条隧道这样的 idea， 把它变成 reality， 把它实现。为什么要花这么久的时间呢？
The answer is it's really, really, really hard. And up until the late 20th century, we didn't have the technology necessary in order to do this project.
好，所以答案就是一直要到20世纪 能够完成完成这个 project 这个计划所需要的科技啊，才被发展出来，所以要等到20世纪才可以。
Our second question, what is special about the date of December 1st, 1990?
好，那关于1990年12月1日这个日期有什么特别的地方呢？
The Channel tunnel workers from both sides were finally able to meet in the middle.
好，那这一天特别的就是两边的这个挖掘隧道的工人呢，终于能够在隧道的中间相遇。
Okay, thanks for listening and enjoying the program, we hope, with us. We will be back again a couple more times later this month. Until then,
Bye-bye.